world, I have decided to document my thoughts on The Great Gatsby via video because this has been a big part of my life for a couple months now, and I think I've bothered everyone about it, so I might as well just let everything out via video and then never talk about it again. I can't really form a definite opinion of the movie quite yet, so this whole thing's gonna be kind of rocky because I only saw it once and it was a late showing. I was really excited when I found out they're making a movie version of The Great Gatsby because I was already such a huge fan of the novel. I was a huge fan of Baz Luhrmann. I love Moulin Rouge. Don't ask me why because I really don't know. I have so many problems with that movie, but it always makes me feel better when I come home and I've had like a bad day. And then I love the cast. Like I mean, not to be like a stereotypical fangirl, but I am a stereotypical fangirl, and I love Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, most of the stuff he's in, he's pretty damn good. Like I just watched Revolutionary Road this morning, and that was sublime. They start off with the character Nick Carraway supposedly narrating from like this like drunk tank. He's like now a drunkard, and they have this like stupid like close up of like different mental disorders he now has, and he's all like complex and deep, and they kind of make it all about him and how upset he is. And I don't know, I didn't really like how they started off the film that way. I thought it was cheesy. And second of all, I don't think that was an accurate portrayal of what I personally believe Nick Carraway to be. He wouldn't like be talking to a therapist in the first place, like because he keeps a lot of his emotions bottled up, and he tries to put on like this sort of like comfortable facade because like I mean he's a good listener. He's very quiet throughout the entire novel, and like he'll voice his opinions to the reader, but he won't like voice it to anyone else really. I also did not enjoy how the entire flashback thing, which starts off the entire like rest of the movie, I really hated how they make it start off with him talking so admirably about Gatsby and like how hopeful he was and basically how much he admired Gatsby, which was completely inaccurate to the novel because throughout the entire novel he's like disgusted by Gatsby, and the only things he like gets from Gatsby is like he'll like pity him sometimes, and like I mean sure he might like his hopefulness and like find it like wow he's hopeful, but it's not like he's like he thinks he's an admirable person. I also didn't really like the casting of Tobey Maguire, and like I mean I think it's just like this thing I have against Tobey Maguire because of Spider-Man 3, because that was the first Spider-Man movie I ever saw. So like I mean I already have this like bad opinion of him. It's not his fault. I'm sorry, but I just I don't know. It's just a thing I have against him. It doesn't come off as a Nick Carraway to me, and I felt like he was being a little bit over dramatic with the part. I don't know. He was like my least favorite as far as performances go. I thought that he could have had like a lot of potential, like he could have gotten there, but then he just didn't quite make it for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and his narration seemed like the way he talked seemed really kind of like I don't know. He has like kind of like a he has like a kind of voice where you can't really take it seriously. I think when you do have like a narration or something like that, you have to have like a certain kind of like not necessarily cynical, but that sort of kind of tone. Do you know what I mean? I also didn't understand why they got rid of the whole Nick Jordan relationship. Like maybe they could have taken out some of those like pointless montages of Daisy wandering around the house or like Gatsby throwing parties. Like they had like a lot of montages that didn't need to be there, and it made the movie kind of like long and drawn out more than it had to be. Like maybe they should have taken those out. Like they could have had a few of those. Like I thought they were very visually stunning and brava to like the set design, the costume design. Those were fantastic. But I felt like I mean, I guess it's like sort of like it's not the most important thing. It was like hardly even discussed in the novel. But I think I really liked Jordan as a character. Like in the book, I don't know, whenever she was there, I just like I wanted to be Jordan's friend. I just really like Jordan. I don't know. I also thought that there was very little to do with like Myrtle and like Tom and everything. Like that whole thing, I felt like they could have like emphasized that more because we don't even see like if you're coming in as an audience member to the movie, you don't even really care that Myrtle dies. Spoiler alert, like she dies, but like you don't really care. Like when I was watching the movie, I was kind of like, well, there's Isla Fisher flying over the eyes, oh motif, blah. Like, I mean, like I actually did like that scene. I thought it was really well done. But I mean, you like you want to feel something, but then you don't because you hardly even know this character, you know? It's like if they took a character, like a minor character, and they like kill them off, and then you're supposed to be like monumentally like moved by this, but then you're just not. Really loved Leonardo DiCaprio's performance. Like, I mean, like I'm trying not to be biased, but I usually do love Leonardo DiCaprio in his movies. I really do. And I thought he did a really good job in this. Like I was really upset because in the theater, you know, like when he starts screaming, everyone started laughing and I was like really into it. And I got so angry at everyone around me because I because I felt like he really understood the character. He understood how like Gatsby had this whole like dream kind of like that he didn't want to be shattered. And then when Tom was like badgering him about it, like, who really are you? You're nothing. And like that really upset him. And I felt like it really got to the core, like heart. Like that was a part of the movie that actually did move me. Most of the movie did not move me, which was upsetting. But like his performance was excellent. Is it enough to get him an Oscar? Uh, no, I don't think it is. Not because he wasn't good, but if his like other performances in the past haven't gotten him an Oscar, like I think he's done better before. Like it's I don't think it's his fault. I feel like the character wasn't written to get an Oscar. You know, like that you see certain movies and it's like that's an Oscar movie. Like My Week with Marilyn is actually a really boring movie. Nothing actually happens in it. It just like it was meant to get Oscars, you know? It was meant to be a quality film, not necessarily the kind of film that you want to watch. So this performance was like it was an entertaining performance and it was really good and it was pretty powerful, but it wasn't like Oscar material. Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't need an Oscar. Like I mean, there are tons of actors out there that deserve Oscars that haven't gotten Oscars, and tons of like critically acclaimed directors that never got Oscars for Best Director, like Stanley Kubrick and Alfred Hitchcock. They never got Oscars. Oscars don't mean everything, guys. It's fine. Like, seriously, most of the time, like, I disagree with the Oscars. So, it's all okay. It's fine. I thought Joel Edgerton, or Edgerton, I don't really know how to pronounce his name. I haven't seen him in anything before. I mean, shame on me. I think he was in Timothy Green. I'm not entirely sure, but I didn't see that either. I watched an interview and I think he might have been in it. But I thought he did a good job. I thought that he could have made Tom a bit more menacing. Like I didn't hate Tom as much as I thought I would. He made him kind of like sympathetic in a way. Like he like gets all teary eyed when Myrtle dies, and in the book he wasn't even like he was hardly even moved. And in the movie, I felt the most sympathy for Tom in that moment that I did in the entire movie. And I hate Tom. He was my least favorite character in the book. He's a horrible, horrible person. I don't condone anything Tom does. But in the movie, the only time, like, besides that whole Leonardo DiCaprio thing, the only time that I felt moved was when he like was like looking at Myrtle and his eyes were like watering up and he had to like conceal his own emotions because like he couldn't do anything about it. I don't like. I felt like he could have been a little bit more menacing and a little bit more. Most of the casting was good. I had a problem with Tobey Maguire, but that was pretty much it. Like the girl who played Jordan, I don't even know her name is. Hold on. Elizabeth Debicki or whatever. Well, she was perfect for Jordan. I really liked her, and like she was a big part of the movie for like 5 minutes. At Gatsby's like first party, he was like hanging out with her, and she was like introducing him to everyone, and then they just kind of forgot about her, and I was like, what? You can't just do that. You can't just like make such a big deal out of this one friendship they got going on, and like he did a little narration about her in film. I feel like if you're making a movie adaptation of Great Gatsby, which is a really short novel, it's practically a novella, So I thought they could, like, expand more on certain subplots that they didn't get to expand much on in the book. Now, Wolfstein is a character based off of the real mobster, Rothstein, whom I'm really fascinated in. Like, I also love Boardwalk Empire, and he's like a character in that, and I just like really love him, and I like learning about him. He's a really fascinating person, a bad person, but fascinating, very fascinating. You should like check him out sometime via Google. But like, they could have like went into like Gatsby's bootlegging. I thought that that would have been a really cool aspect of the movie. They could have like, because it's supposed to be kind of like a big blockbuster. So like I thought like they can have all the different elements of many different film genres and just put them in this big mess. And I thought that would have been great. And they like introduce Wolfstein and then they never talk about him again. Like they do talk about him, but hardly. They're just like, oh, you're a bootlegger with that Wolfstein guy. And as far as dialogue is concerned, the only pieces of dialogue that I really enjoyed were derived strictly from the book. Like it's not like the screenwriter did anything or said anything that I thought was really prolific. I didn't find any of like the dialogue necessarily witty that wasn't already witty if there was like a line in there. It was extremely original, like all Baz Luhrmann films are. They're very Baz Luhrmann. You can tell that it's a Baz Luhrmann film if you go and see it and you're like, wow. It's kind of like in the song Razzle Dazzle from Chicago. It's like, how can they see with sequins in their eyes? Like with Baz Luhrmann films, he always blurs my judgment, damn him, with his whole like his visual. He really understands visuals. He's really good at visuals. It's very like it's like a cluttered, glittery mess, and it's awesome. I really do enjoy it. And like I mean, I feel like a lot of his movies are kind of Valentine's Day card, um, in the sense where they're very kind of like they're kind of cheesy. They like have like different clashing colors, but they still bottom line like you just like kind of enjoy them, you know. So like as far as originality goes, I thought the film was a really original adaptation. Like if you compare it to the other film adaptations, others were very kind of boring. Like I mean, the whole Robert Redford one, people are always like trying to defend that one, but no, it was boring. Like, I mean, that was slow paced. Original, it was a new take. I thought the modern soundtrack was a little bit much. Like, I mean, they could have worked it if they had Florence the Machine Over the Love, like that song in the soundtrack, and I really enjoy that song. I thought that if they kept playing that song, or like songs like along those lines, or Love is Blindness, that song I really liked on the soundtrack, that would have worked. Lana Del Rey's Young and Beautiful, that song is kind of irrelevant to the story. Like, I'm a secret, like, closet Lana Del Rey fan. I don't know why I like her. I just really like her. But, like, like, when you listen to the lyrics of the song, it has basically zero to nothing to do with The Great Gatsby. Whereas there are other songs, like Love is Blindness is pretty perfect, especially where, like, Jay Gatsby is concerned. Uh, Over the Love, like, I Can See the Green Light, like, how, like, that's seriously, like, that's so Gatsby. Like, and then they just choose Young and Beautiful, where Lana Del Rey just sings about, will you still love me when I'm not young and beautiful, which is basically kind of narcissistic because she's calling herself beautiful. But whatever, be proud, girl. I don't even. If you're making like a big budget, like fantastical film, you gotta get Baz Luhrmann to do it because you know he's gonna like make it really pretty. Like if you're going to make like an art house film that's like about like the loss of innocence or something like that, or The Great Gatsby, I don't think that Baz Luhrmann's the best choice. My final thoughts on the film, I mean, not to be like jumping on the bandwagon, but it was style over substance. I mean, if you're into stylistic films, like I mean, I can like a stylistic film. Like I mean, the Marvel comic books, I'm all there. You know, I like stylistic films as much as I understand how they're like they're like ruining cinema, blah blah blah. But like, I mean, they're actually really fun experiences to go to. Not really necessarily to like rent on DVD and like watch over and over again in your house. But like if you go to see a movie theater and want to have a fun Friday night, I think this movie's not a bad choice. I think that if you're trying to get something out of the movie, like I don't think you're going to get something out of the movie that you're not going to get out of the book. I think that you should probably read the book if you want to know what The Great Gatsby is all about.